Yo, what's going on, guys? Finally I'm back again with another video. This time it's back league racing in AOR GT3 Elite Season 7 Round 1 at Monza. And yeah, wasn't looking forward to this race too much, wasn't expecting too much, as we've actually picked the Z4, me and my teammate, for this season, so we knew it was going to be tough. But I'm going to start off with my qualifying lap and yeah, let's see how it goes. So as you can see, we only ended up getting a 44.2, which was like half a second down on what I'd done previously. But moving forward to the rolling start, obviously you've got manual rolling starts in AOR just to stop all the lag glitches and synchronizing issues at the beginning of the race. And yeah, at this moment just focusing on trying to keep the tyres in, trying to get a good start, not wanting to lose too much ground on our teammate and the guys up in front, and then someone gets punted off into the wall. I think that was Super Scrub, and yeah, I don't know what happened there, but happy days. It was funny for us. We knew there's another position that we potentially would be able to keep in the race. So going on to the start of the race, manual rolling start, waiting for CJB to kick us off, and yeah, I'm in second gear knowing that should get a good launch. I actually got a really good start and was right up behind my teammate, who for some reason picked the wrong livery. But yeah, going into turn one, I knew it was going to be tight, but I was expecting it to be pretty clean, as this is the elite tier AOR. Everyone pretty cautious into turn one, so managed to actually make up a position on Telmo. And yeah, from here it was just try not to make a mistake, try not to lose the slipstream from the guys in front, and see what we could do in the Z4, because we knew really with the cars the other guys had picked, we wasn't expecting to really be ahead of anyone in the S Celeste, the Audi or the Bentley, because we just didn't have the straight line speed to match those guys. But early stages of the race, I knew the Z4 was quite fast on race pace, quite fast on heavy fuel, and it was just up to us to try and keep up with the guys, try and stay in their slipstream and help sort of keep our car in with a chance at least of you know, a top 5 finish. I would have been happy with. But with Super Scrub having to pit on the formation lap, it obviously gave us that extra position. So I mean, we was definitely in with a chance. If I could have finished where I was now, I would have taken it straight away. but the race is unfolding quite well, and it seemed we did have decent pace, so I was quite surprised. I could see Telmo behind catching me all the time. Every time we got to a straight, he was just catching and catching and catching. There's nothing we could really do, but I feel like the Z4 was really obviously strong in Sector 2. It wasn't too bad in Sector 3, to be honest, but Sector 2 was where we were gaining most time and in the braking zone, so as long as we could get a good run off of the corners before the long straights, then we should be alright against the rough. But against the SLS and the Audi, I mean, it was just so hard. So all we could really do was just be as consistent as possible. Now fast forwarding to further down to lap 3, you can see ahead CJB has obviously got a corner cut penalty, which allows us to close up even more, but he was super quick. He had ridiculous race pace. Even in practice, I pretty much put him down for the win just because his race pace was crazy. But you can see now how fast that Bentley was. There was just no point defending. I think Carl just lets him go because he just knows that he had great pace. He was super fast down the straights, and we were just trying to conserve our tyres, look after the tyres really, hoping we could get to the end of the race without having to pit. Hoping that a lot of the other guys in the Audi, SLS, Bentley may have to pit. So that was really our thinking in this race, and just try and stay consistent. We wasn't pushing too hard. I think we were just doing enough. I think we definitely could have went quicker if we needed to, but we knew that we'd definitely be wearing the tyres down doing that. So it was all about just keeping a steady pace, a respectable pace, and when it got to the end of the race, seeing where we were, last 10 laps, seeing where we were. Skipping forward to lap 5 now, you can see I think it was Gunnar Gamble. He's got a corner cut penalty, and I was thinking, do I have the horsepower to just out drag him as he slowed down? I thought he might actually get me for the end of the straight, but I managed to get in front, and to be honest, I thought it wouldn't last for too long. I knew how much speed that car had down the straight, but if I could keep getting a good middle sector, I could at least hold him up, so if he has to pit, he's not he's not going to build up a lead on me, so he can it's easy for him to close me down at the end of the race. I know with the SLS, it's a very nice handling car, it's a very good car, but it does definitely eat tyres. You can see him on the back of my hair, just watch him in my mirror, how much he closes up. He doesn't even have to be in the slipstream, he's got that much more power. And I was just thinking, I've got to keep nailing these last corners, and hopefully I can keep him behind for another lap. But if he did pass me, I wasn't going to fight it too hard. If he did get, at the side of me, but just watch again in my mirror how much he takes out of me on this straight. It's actually ridiculous. And I can see him coming. I don't go to the inside to defend. I know I could probably outbrake him. I just managed to brake late enough to keep him behind me, but definitely you could see he was catching me all the time, and I knew what was coming eventually. I knew he would get me, but I was just seeing how long I could keep him behind without trying to wear my tyres and drive erratically, drive all over the road. But every straight he's just all over me. Every time we get to the straight, I wasn't going to defend it. If he got far enough alongside, I would have let him go, but as I still had the line and I still could brake pretty late, I just kept the position. So yeah, moving forward now, and you can see he's got a great run through Ascari, and yeah, he's gonna go past us. We can see him gaining. I moved to the left hand side, I know what's coming, and I'm just waiting for him to go through really. I actually managed to hang it around the outside a bit. I didn't even mean to, I just left the door open for him to go through, but the Z4 was so quick around the corners, I still managed to carry quite a bit of speed. But once we get to the straight, you'll see that monster go past. SLS, absolute beast on the straights, and I was just sticking his slipstream, and hopefully he can drag me forward. And I knew he'd pretty much catch up to Carl. It wouldn't take him too long to catch up to Carl because of how much speed he had down the straights. And we knew that me and Carl were driving quite conservatively, trying to just make our tyres last, not knowing how bad it would get with the tyres. We in practice we never actually did a full race distance, so we kind of guesstimated that we'd be able to make it to the end, seeing how worn the tyres were sort of halfway through. 22 lap stints, so we pretty much knew we could probably get to the end, but we didn't know how bad it would get and how much slower we'd be at the end of the race. But I predicted the other cars would actually have to make a pit stop, so fast forwarding again, and you can see the SLS is right on the back of car now, and you see him dumbing in the last corner. And yeah, also you see Super Scrub, he's managed to make his way back through the pack from being in the back and having to pit on the first lap after getting damage on the formation lap, so he's right behind us, and again he's in the Audi, so we knew if he caught us we weren't going to fight him too much either, but Carl defended for his life against the SLS. And at this stage I was thinking, are these guys going to pit? I'm hoping these guys pit because they've got some serious pace. I was just trying to focus on my race and not get too distracted by what was going on around me. But I could see Super Scrub just catching and catching and catching. And I thought maybe because he'd already had to pit, I know it was the first lap, but he'd already had fresh tyres, and I was thinking, is he going to go to the end, or has he put on medium tyres to help him get to the end? I wasn't too sure. But there you see Gunnar Gamble, Carl goes side by side for the chicane. Gunnar Gamble's gone through. It slowed Carl right down, and Super Scrub out of nowhere is literally just right behind me now. So I'm trying to stick in Carl's slipstream, seeing if it'll keep me away from the Audi, but the Audi's got such great acceleration, it's just no chance. So all we could do really was just focus on tyre wear, but fast forward to the end of the lap, you can see I've caught right back up to the back of Carl, and I was thinking, is he being slowed down by the SLS a little bit, hoping that the guys in front, their tyres are going. I knew Carl's tyres should be pretty good, but I actually got a run on him, but I wasn't trying to battle him. So you see I actually stayed towards the left. I wasn't trying to overtake him because I knew it would slow us both down, and then Super Scrub would catch me up in there, and it would be curtains from then on. And as you can see, it did slow us up through the chicane a little bit, and now Super Scrub's got a run on me. And yeah, pretty much the Audi's so quick out of the corners. Once it gets near slipstream, no chance. So I actually just moved to the left, and you'll see me lift off before the braking zone just to let him go, because I knew there was just no point in fighting him. I just focused on sort of looking after my tyres, getting to the end of the race without having to pit. But at this point I did think, wow, he might even have medium tyres on, and he might be going to the end himself, but ended up letting him through. But you can see he's starting to struggle on the tyres, even though he pitted on the formation that the car was sliding, so he was actually losing a bit of time, and I was like willing him to just catch the guys in front. I didn't want to lose too much time to my teammate. But there you can see, even in the slipstream, how much the Audi just pulls away. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't run into the back of him in the braking zone, because I could brake pretty late. But all I was doing is sort of braking, lifting off the throttle, and letting the car slow down gradually instead of like banging it down the gears. As you can see ahead, Carl was still actually keeping up with Gunnar Gamble, who was in the SLS, and I was thinking maybe his tyres are definitely starting to wear now, because really once he got past the Z4 he should destroy us, because the car's so much quicker down the straight. But obviously if you're struggling with tyres, you can't brake as late, you can't go as fast through the corners, you won't get a good run out of the corners either. So it was really starting to open up for us in terms of finishing positions, and I was quite surprised that we was able to at least keep up with these guys. But I wasn't sure where Manuel and CJB were, but I knew they had bolted. Judging by the minimap, you could see ahead of our battle, I think that's the lap car we're catching up to. Them guys were absolutely gone. They had some amazing race pace, and even if you look at Super Scrub, who crashed on the formation lap, went into the pits and came out quite far behind the guy in last place, and he's managed to catch us by lap 18. So him and his teammate have got quite similar speed in terms of pace and how fast they are. So you can see how much pace the Audi had during the race. It was just whether, you know, the guys could make the tyres last, which is one of the reasons why I didn't pick the Audi, because I believe the tyre wear is quite bad. But you can see us getting a great run out of the last corner, but we just can't do anything on the straight. We can't do anything on the straight. And that's maybe the only bad thing about being in the Z4. It's a great car, it's good at most tracks, but the straight line speed, as you can see, even in the slipstream, we've lost out maybe, I don't know, 4 tenths. But what we lose out in the straight, we make up in the corners, we make up in the braking zones. It's just that there's not too many corners around this circuit and the straights are very long. So I mean, I was quite happy with my position. I was still hoping and praying that these guys would pit, and if they didn't pit, I think by the end of the race we really would have been all over them. So it's sort of a catch-22 for the guys in the Audi and the SLS. But going into lap 19, everything's looking pretty calm. My tyres are still in great condition. It's just the front left at Monza mainly that suffers. But you can see all of a sudden Super Scrub's like he found a second wind, and he just started to bolt a little bit. So that allows me to increase my pace. And as you can see, he's almost caught the back of Carl now. So I was predicting that he wouldn't take him too long to get past Carl, but I think that's Deuce Miles again getting lapped, and he just not really helping the situation. He's not really getting out of the way. He's just sticking to one place. And I didn't want to be held up by him at all, but I think Carl got held up by him, and that's put Super Scrub on the back of him, and he's lost out to Gunner Gamble. I was flashing my lights for him to let me pass before this complex, but for some reason he just stayed in the way. And luckily for me, I think he runs a little bit wide here, which allows me through. But I mean, really shouldn't be getting lapped by lap 20, and you know, you shouldn't be putting up such a fight when people are trying to get past. But anyway, you see Super Scrub gone clean around the outside of the car, and yeah, it's a great move. And then the pace down the straight is pretty much nothing we could really do. And yeah, it's just about seeing if we can stick with these guys for as long as possible until their tyres start wearing, and then that's when our car becomes more dangerous and we can take advantage of the better tyre wear that we have. But as I said, it was just all about consistency. The Z4 really wasn't too good over the curves, over the bumps. So you've seen the second chicane, we weren't taking too many risks. We weren't really pushing it at all. So I mean, there was definitely more time there, but you know, we didn't want to risk just burning up our front left tyre and just stacking it into the wall somewhere, when you know we was in quite a good position, 5th and 6th at the minute, and pretty sure the guys were going to pit, because I could see them starting to struggle. I could see Super Scrub sliding it into corners and stuff like that. So I knew at this stage I was pretty sure they must pit, and it was just whether they could, you know, catch us back up at the end. I mean, AOR, the races have been extended by 15 minutes to help people who did want to make a pit stop, because before, when the races were 15 minutes shorter, people who was in the Z4, the rough, they were easily doing no stops, and guys who were pitting and losing like 30 odd seconds, they had no chance of getting that position back. So now the races are extended, it's a lot harder to do a no stop, and when you do a no stop, it's going to be really tight to whether you're going to be able to keep the guys behind you who pitted around you. So as you can see, Super Scrub's actually managed to get past Gunner Gamble in the SLS, and yeah, he's obviously struggling even more than Super Scrub on the tyres, and the SLS really does kill his tyres. It's pretty much a pity, because it is such a nice car, one of my favourite GT3 cars, but the tyre wear just makes it like uncompetitive, and that's, I think, the only problem with some of the other GT3 cars. But car actually gets a great run in the SLS and manages somehow, don't know how, manages to overtake an SLS at the end of the straight, which I have to admit I was pretty surprised when he pulled that one off. And I knew if he got at least half a car's length alongside it in the braking zone, he'd definitely be able to get through, because you have to brake so early in the SLS and you can brake so late in the Z4, and you can already see how much he's managed to pull out. So you can tell that Gunner Gamble is definitely struggling with tyre wear. You can see him understeering for the first part of that chicane, and Carl, yeah, just getting off. So I was thinking, oh god, how am I going to get past this guy down the straight? No chance. So yeah, really, at this point I was starting to panic a little bit, thinking if this guy stays out, I'm going to lose so much time to my teammate. And you see, I didn't get a great second Lesmo bend there, but all I could do was try and stay consistent, try and get into his slipstream, and maybe that would help drag me back up the field a little bit, because I felt like I was losing time a little bit behind him. And every time I got behind someone, most of this race I spent behind someone, I was trying to sort of leave a gap leave at least a second gap or so, so I wouldn't just burn up my tyres sitting behind them and understeering everywhere. And for the most part it was working. I thought my tyre wear was quite good. But yeah, I mean, at this point I was thinking I'm going to have to go on the attack, because I couldn't afford to get stuck behind Gunner Gamble and not be able to match my teammate. But I don't need to. As you can see, he goes straight into the pit lane and it was happy days. Happy days. That's one position. I thought, wasn't too many laps left. We could probably get to the end without him catching us again. I think a pit stop around here is probably about 32 seconds or something like that. And there wasn't that much laps left. I mean, if I was pitting, I probably would have pitted quite early, so it gives me more time to catch back up. But yeah, as you can see now, coming around the last corner again, and there's a car in front going to the pits, and that's Super Sub going to the pits, so it's getting even better for us. And yeah, as you can see, we go into 4th position, Carl ahead on the podium. And at this moment in time, if we could have got a podium, a 3rd and a 4th, that's a crazy result in the Z4 for our team. A crazy result. We was pretty much expecting to be sort of 6th, 7th in this race, so being 3rd and 4th, telling you, happy days, mate. Happy days. We felt like it felt like a win being in this position. And as long as we could stay consistent and have no dramas before the end of the race, I think we could do it. The tyre life was still good. I still had slightly over half on my front left, so it was looking all good. But moving on now to lap 30, 13 laps to go. And if you look in my mirror, there's a car behind me, but it's actually a lap car. But he'd come out of the pits and he was actually going quicker than me at this point. But the only thing was, I could see in my mirror that his car was like travelling sideways and it was starting to put me off. So I was contemplating whether to just keep on going or whether to just let him go, because he was catching me. He'd caught me probably about 4 seconds, and obviously he'd come out of the pits and his car was in a much better phase than our car was. His tyres were fresh and the SLS was so quick down the straight. You could see him gaining on us even though his car's travelling sideways. But at this point I thought, you know what, I might just have to let him go. I told Carl what was happening. There's a guy behind me, a lap car behind me, just catching me, and he just said, just if he's that quick, just let him go. There's no point, you just end up destroying your tyres defending. So he gave me a lift off, I let him go, and I think this is probably the biggest mistake I made in the race, because then I just get this annoying smoke screen, and this is, I think, the biggest thing. This is what killed my race. This is definitely what killed my race. The smoke screen, I couldn't see anything. And it wasn't as bad when he was right in front of me, but as he got further away, it just got, yeah, it just got terrible. I was having to guess the corners, and that's not a good thing around this track. And I think, I don't know whether it's an issue with the game or whether it's a connection issue, but it was so frustrating, because I couldn't push. Every time I tried to push, I would just make a mistake because I couldn't see where I was having to brake. All my reference points for the corners were just up in smoke. Literally, I couldn't see anything. You can see as he gets further ahead, you can't see anything. And that was actually our teammate in the wall. And I believe that he tangled again with that Deuce Miles, the guy we'd lapped again for the second time. And yeah, it was unfortunate for him, fortunate for me, up into 3rd place. But still, I mean, with the smoke screen in front of me, I still couldn't really push. And I asked Carl if he could see the smoke screen, and he couldn't see it. So I don't know if it was just an issue on my end, or there's a few guys that said there was other people traveling sideways. So it might have just been a sort of some lag issues on this particular track, or I don't know if people are streaming or what was going on. But it was terrible for me. It was absolutely terrible. And you see now, like, I'm having to sort of get out of the smoke to try and see where I was going. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And I wouldn't mind, but it was pretty much like all the reference points, that's where the smoke would come up the most. Where I had the reference points for my braking, that's where the smoke would come up the most. And yeah, as you can see, even driving down the straight, it was terrible. But I know there was a few people that suffered bugs in this race. I know Telmo hit an invisible wall when he was like about 1 second behind me, and that dropped him back a good 5 or 6 seconds. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was a streaming thing or what was going on. And you can see now here, literally some of the smoke is actually just blinding. I couldn't see anything. And I'm catching up to lap Deuce Miles. I think his name's Deuce Miles or something like that. Flashing my lights for him to get out of the way because he probably didn't seem like I was close enough behind him, but I couldn't really see. And then we've ended up hitting him, going into the back of him. He's hit the curb, he's spun, and yeah, it was just a nightmare. I didn't really, I mean, there was no point in me slowing down to let him back through because he was getting lapped, but I couldn't do anything else to let him know that, look, couldn't really see anything, I'm lapping you, please just, before the corner, get out of my way so I can at least see the corner. But obviously on his screen there might have been no smoke at all, so you know, there's not really much we can do about that. But you can see Carl, he's caught us literally about 2.5 seconds in that whole exchange. And I'm going through the corners, struggling to see, hitting curbs all over the place. You can see here again, going through the chicane, and he's quite far down the road, but the smoke, it's like the further he gets away, the more smoke there is. And to be honest, at this point I'm just getting distracted. I'm not focusing on my lines. I'm just complaining. I just want this guy out of my way, and then yeah, I run wide. And I see Carl gets a good run on me, goes through. No point really defending it, as he is our teammate, even though he's picked the wrong livery. But there's no point fighting it. I couldn't really see, and I knew the cars behind us were catching us. I could still see Telmo, who was at one point about 11 seconds behind us, but he's closed that right up now, and I'm just trying to focus on, let me just keep this 4th position. There's not too many laps left, only about 9 laps to go. And I was waiting to see the name Telmo change into Super Scrub or Gunner Gamble, because I knew they'd pit in, I knew they'd be rapid. And the moment that I saw that name change, I think I could start pushing again, because my tyres were still in great condition, and like, I didn't really feel like I was losing any tyre grip whatsoever, so it was all good. But moving on to lap 39 now, you can see that name behind me is Super Scrub. He's passed Telmo, he's already made his pit stop, and he is flying. And I'm still getting plumes of smoke, hitting curbs, losing time on my teammate, and yeah, it's just going from bad to worse. I was trying to stay focused, and even now I thought if Super Scrub catches me, I'm not even going to defend it, because there's no point. I'd just rather just get to the end of the race, knowing that this smoke screen hampered the second half of my race. Get to the end of the race, even if I get 5th position, I'll take it. I would have took top 5 before the race started, easily. So you can see how much time we've lost to our teammate by now. And then yeah, coming through the last corner, just as I thought things couldn't get any worse, bang, start button comes on, classic T300 problem, smash straight into the wall, and yeah, Super Scrub flies past me, and what became like a battle to stay in the top 5, I knew with how hard I hit the wall, I knew I would definitely be getting slowed down quite a lot. And Telmo about 8 seconds behind me, so I was feeling like maybe I'll survive. 3 laps to go, that should be alright, depending on how much slower I was going. And I knew I'd definitely lose time down the straights, but problem was I saw the name change behind me, Gunner Gamble. He'd also caught back up, and I thought, oh no, he's in the SLS, I've got no chance if he catches me. So I tried to focus and literally just make sure I hit all the apexes at least even if my car's slowing down the straight, I've got to try and hit all the braking zones perfectly. But as you can see, by lap 42 it was just no use. He caught me and there was nothing I could do. I knew as soon as we get off this corner that he was going to be past me, and I think I even ended up hitting that corner again. Like, obviously my steering wheel was slightly bent to one side, so I couldn't really get the apexes that I wanted to, but I mean, what can you do? I mean, the second half of the race was a nightmare. The first half was great, but the second half we just a bad end to a good situation. Being in 4th place, probably maybe would have been able to keep that 3rd or 4th place if we didn't have the incident with Deuce Miles and the smoke screen. Then I think we would have been able to maybe keep a podium position, which I mean, I would have celebrated that like a win. In fact, I would have celebrated 4th place like a win, because out of the whole calendar, which I'll show you at the end of this race, the calendar for this season, this is definitely the weakest track for us, and the track that we knew that would be up against it. So the fact that we managed to, you know, sort of keep it near the front, near the podium positions, I was very happy with at the time. But the way how everything conspired and ended, was a little bit disappointed. So coming up to the line here, we're going to take sixth position, even though it says 7th. I think that's just someone who's retired to the garage or been lapped or something like that. So yeah, we're going to take 6th position, and yeah, I mean, it's not a bad start, but I think we could have done so much better. But if you want to see more, like and subscribe, and I'll show you the championship standings and the calendar for this season. But anyway, Kryptic TMG, my race highlights. Peace.